Hello students. Now I am going to talk about probability in that random variables. Here I am going to talk about the basic concepts of the probability. Directly we can't explain the probability. So before should know about that probability, first we should know some of the basic concepts, basic definitions we should know. So under the module complex analysis, probability and statistical methods, many basic definitions will come one by one, will come to know. The first definition, probability. The term probability stands for its randomness and uncertainty. Usually, we are going to use this probability word in our regular language, like probably today my friend he may come, probably he won't come. So it means that we only not 100% confident about that sentence. We don't know whether our friend will come to our home or not. It means 100% confidence we can't define the statement. So just by imagination, just by assumption only, we have to get the solution. That is what probability. So the term probability stands for its randomness and also uncertainty. This is what probability. Random experiment. Now, one by one, the basic definition we'll see. The first thing is random experiment. What is mean by this random experiment? An experiment which are performed essentially and which gives different outcomes when it is performed. For example, tossing a coin, throwing a die. So here, so random experiment, suddenly that experiment will happen, will get some solution. But after seeing that solution only, we can tell that, so which is the solution? We can't guess exactly this only will come, exactly that term only will come as a solution. So that only here we taken as an example. For example, first example is tossing a coin. So coin which is containing two faces. One is head and the one more is tail. If you go for tossing a coin, so you may get so two solution. It may be a head or it may be a tail. Chances will be both the chances will be there to get as a solution. Similarly, throwing a die which contains the six faces with six numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So throwing a die, if you go for throw that die means out of that six outcome, any one outcome we will get. So that only they given in the definition. An experiment which are performed essentially, which gives different outcomes when it is performed. So now the next definition is event. Event means that is our favorable outcome. Some event we assumed. That event. How we can define in mathematics means an event is a part of an experiment which gives outcomes. For example, tossing a coin is an experiment, but getting the outcome has head or tail. This is what our event. So here, if you go for tossing that a coin means, so chances will be two chances. It may be a head or it may be a tail. Suppose my wish is getting the head. If I get that head is my event has happened. Not getting the head, instead of head or tail we got it means not happened, not I am not successful getting that solution, getting that event. That's it. That is what example I mentioned here. Similarly, one more example here, throwing a die is an experiment. It is one experiment. If you go for throwing a die means, so what are all the chances of getting the outcome as? It may be a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, 5, 6. Out of this, any one only I can get as a solution. So my wish is, suppose the 5 means, if I am getting the same term 5 means event is successful or else it's a failure. So it means event is a part of an experiment which gives the required outcome. That is what event. Now we'll go for the next definition, that is sample space. What is meant by this sample space? The set of all possible outcomes of an random experiment is called sample space and is denoted by S. So here I can explain this by taking one example. In tossing a coin twice, only one coin I am going to toss 2 times. Both the time, what are all the possible outcomes means, both the times I may get head, and first time head, second time tail, first time tail, second time head, both the times chances are there to get the tail. Other than these 4 options, any other option not there. This is the maximum outcomes I can get. So sample space is nothing but the set of all possible outcomes of an experiment. Any one experiment is called as what? Sample space. We are going to denote that as yes. Now the next definition is random variables. What is mean by this? Random variables. A real variable is associated with every outcome of a random experiment is called random variable and is denoted by X, Y, Z. So already I explained about random experiment. If you go for any random experiment means we will get some of the outcomes. Instead of writing that outcomes in a wordings, now I am going to use some of the real numbers. So if I used any of the real numbers to represent the outcomes of the random experiment, then we are going to call that as a real random variable. For example, in tossing a coin twice, the possible outcomes are both the time head, tail, head, head, tail, and both the time tail. Hence, the sample space can be written as double H, HT, TH and TT. Here, capital X denotes the number of heads and capital Y denotes the number of tails. First, you just write, you make a list of the outcomes. So, head, 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 tail, tail, head, and then both the time tail. X and Y. Now solution I am going to represent in terms of number. It means real number. X represents number of heads and Y represents number of tails. In a first case, both the time head. It means X value I am going to write it as a 2. Both the time head means tail is 0. So Y value will be 0. Similarly, X value for the next head and tail means head is 1, tail is 1. Similarly, tail head means head is 1, tail is also 1. TT that represents there is no head, it means X value is 0 and both the time tail, the value of Y will be a 2. So here X and Y, you just observe, instead of using this alphabetical or words, I use the numbers, that is real numbers 0, 1, 2. So it means solution I represented in terms of the real numbers. Hence X equals to 0, 1, 2 and Y equals to 0, 1, 2 is called range of the random variables. So this range represents, so how many values I used? So 0, 1, 2 that represents the range of the experiment. Now in a random variable, 2 type is there. One is discrete random variables and the second one is continuous random variables. What is mean by this? Discrete random variables means a random variable which takes finite number of values or countably infinite number of values. So then we are going to call this as a discrete random variables. For example, tossing a coin, observing the outcomes. Similarly, the next one more type is continuous random variables. A random variables which takes n number of, it means uncountable number of values, infinite number of values means then we are going to call that as a continuous random variables. For example, weight of the article. These are all the basic definitions we are going to use in a probability. Thank you.